So I'm Marc Elrich. I'm the county executive of Montgomery County. I've been the county executive for the last 3.5 years. Before I did this, I was a Montgomery County council member, and I did that for 12 years. And before that, I was a school teacher in Montgomery County. I taught elementary school, and I was also on the Tacoma Park City Council. So I've been involved in things for a very long time. Try to do the best I can to try to make this a better place for everybody. The biggest challenge was COVID. The day I presented my budget, everything shut down because of COVID. And the council didn't consider the budget I submitted. They said we're just going to do a same services budget. And in my third year, which was last year, it was the same thing, basically the same services budget. So the financial constraints and COVID limited us from being able to do new things. And I'd wanted to expand more things in the county. And we did not have the resources to do it last year. But we got out of the worst of this, and our budget was balanced. We achieved the reserve targets that the banks had set for us. We exceeded 10% reserves. All our pensions were funded. And this year, with an actual budget that had grown, and the revenue, because our revenues had grown, we actually were able to put record money into affordable housing and childcare and education. So a lot of good things that happened, but COVID is really a challenge. The county put out some money. Most of the money came from the state and mostly from the federal government. And we have some money in reserve to deal with emergencies. So I feel that if there's a manageable emergency, not like what it was like in the beginning, the county is going to be able to continue to provide assistance. We're still giving out rental assistance, for example, to individuals. And in this group of this pot of money we just got, we're actually able to help not just with back rent, but also with back utility bills. And so we're continuing to help people to meet their rent requirements. We're not able to help everybody. We had to limit it to income groups, to lower income groups, because there was not enough money to go around. We're continuing the same support for the food programs as we had before. So if people aren't back at work yet and they're still needing food, we're continuing to supply support at the same level we were at the height of the pandemic. So there's going to be, you have the rent assistance, you're going to have food assistance. Those are the two big places that we've been able to play a role. We've got community health clinics that people can go to who don't have insurance. So we've been able to help people there. The vaccines are free. We run clinics, and we prioritize particularly lower income households who are most likely not to have a car. So we can be sure we get the vaccines when they're available closest to the community. We have pretty good partners. We turn to people in the community, the Ethiopian community and others, to help us get deeper contacts with the residents in the county. So we continue to have services to teach people English. We have pretty robust programs that are run out of the Gilchrist Center, and they have offices up in Wheaton, but we have programs around the county. We fund a number of nonprofits that do education in English, to teach residents, newcoming residents who don't speak English, to teach them the language. And we're going to continue to make sure that's funded. I think we realize that a person's success here is greatly going to depend on their ability to communicate. And we have to provide the facility to help people learn the language so they can be successful in communicating in the county. stigma over disabilities is not unique to the Ethiopian community. A lot of people have a hard time coming forward with their children. But the school system has programs to help people with that. The county runs programs, particularly for the younger children who need additional assistance. We support a number of nonprofits who do this kind of work in the community, and our nonprofits are increasingly becoming aware that they have to be able to provide those services in multiple languages. It's not enough to say I do it and I do it in English. You have to be able to do it in Spanish, Amharic, and Chinese, the dominant languages in the county, because these are people that really need the help. And we really need our nonprofit providers to help build that trust that'll let parents bring their children forward. It's not unique that these people often live in the shadows. They don't step out, they don't ask for help. And we've run into this in a number of different cultures, and I think every culture has a subset of people who are reluctant to ask for assistance. But we try to go out and reach out to them and make it easy for them to find us, and also make sure that we have culturally appropriate people who they can talk to. I think it's a spurt, and it's happening all over the country. This is not unique. It has a lot to do with COVID for a couple of reasons. One, a lot of folks have been out of work, and the people who are hardest hit were the lowest income people. They're the ones that lost their jobs. The restaurants aren't fully staffed yet. There are retail stores that still aren't operating under the hours they worked on before. So there are less job opportunities, and if you're not working, you're not making an income, and if you're not having an income, you don't have money. That drives some people to do things we prefer they do not do. And so that's an underlying problem. And I think COVID has really messed with people's mental health. People have not socialized in some cases for 2.5 years. Particularly young adults who are not mature at the age of 14 or 15 or 16. They've just gone through, 2 years of a lot of isolation, where they haven't had normal relationships. They haven't had the opportunity to socialize and do the normal things they would do, and they've been pretty much alone. And we think that's contributed to the kind of instability that's at. I'm concerned so we're increasing the mental health supports in school. And that's a good thing, but not everybody who has problems is in school. A lot of the young adults are out of school. I'm going to be trying to develop a program for community clinics that are based in the community, where a parent could bring their child, or a parent can go themselves if they're struggling and get services at the community level without having to go into an institution and without relying on the schools. So we need a much more robust system of mental health in the county. And we used to have clinics, and they got taken away 20, 30 years ago. It's time for us to bring the clinics back and help people cope, and not just assume that they're going to be able to use their insurance. When you're talking about the immigrant community, there's no mental health insurance. There's barely health insurance. I'm a believer in, not everything can be fixed in school, and not everything is a mental health issue. A lot of this is socioeconomic. We need fairer wages. I led 2 fights to raise the minimum wage to $15, but today $15 is way too low a minimum wage if you're trying to pay for housing in Montgomery County. You can't find very much, even if you are making $15 an hour. So we need to find ways of raising wages and making sure people have benefits so that they feel they can actually have a productive and successful life. Drink not so much. I drink tea usually when I go out, or dark coffee. And I like Tebs, which is, I like it a lot. And I like the the little side dishes of lentils and red beans that go along with it. And I love injera bread. I'm diabetic, so I don't eat as much injera as I used to eat. I was usually good for 2 or 3 of the round things, and I can't do that anymore. But I do like it. I like the style of eating, and I think it's actually fun to go out and eat with your hands. I've been working with the Ethiopian community for a very long time. And I will say a lot of it has to do with their comfortableness in approaching people. You know, many of them came here educated. They were able to come here and start businesses. So they had expectations for how a person should be treated and how a business should be treated. And they had a sense of fairness, and they recognized things that were unfair. And they came with, I'd say, higher expectations than some people do. And so that also meant they're willing to come to the table and say, this is a problem or that's a problem, we need your help. And I've always been able to try to work with them and help them. I've tried, there's going to be the soccer festival, I think it's going to be pulled off at the University of Maryland. I'm the one that got involved in it, worked with the university. When I realized they needed help over there, I put them in touch with the Prince George's County government and the University of Maryland so they could make this thing come together. It's not going to benefit Montgomery County all that much because all the restaurants and everything are over there where they're going to be eating. But when those people come back at night, they'll come back to Ethiopian restaurants and other restaurants here. And I just wanted to help them. I didn't say it's not my problem. I felt like this is something we could be useful in providing people the opportunity to go to these great matches. The council passed this law in Silver Spring called the bid. And you're going to hear a lot of complaints among Ethiopian businesses about the bid because basically the council voted for something, even though their own racial equity analysis said this was not a good thing, they passed it anyway. It basically allows large property owners to tax the businesses to pay for promotion of the large property owners. They do not have a say in where the money goes. They are advisory. Their role is advisory, but the decisions right now are made by other people. And it was all set up, basically, in my mind, to take money out of the pockets of small businesses, which in Silver Spring means a lot of Ethiopian businesses, and put it under control of the wealthiest landowners in the county. And that just was not right. So I opposed it. I vetoed it. The only council member who supported me was Will Juwando. And fortunately, the state legislature changed the law after they saw how it had been abused in the county. And they now have to come under the new law, which is hopefully going to bring more control and more input for the small businesses. But this was really important to me, and I was willing to veto it because there's no way that I was going to let the wealthiest people tax the poorest people in order to benefit the wealthiest people. That's not the way you're supposed to do business.